Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we will be learning about Terraform settings block. Now this Terraform settings block is used to configure some of the Terraform related behavior. One such behavior is we can configure the required version of Terraform that we want our configuration to run upon, which means if I want my configuration to run on Terraform version 0.13 and after, then I can specify a condition by which if these configurations are run on any version which is less than 0.13, it will not start. The other thing that we can configure is the providers. Now providers are the heart of Terraform. They help us or they help the Terraform to connect with the different systems that we want to provision, which means if I'm provisioning some resources on AWS, there will be a provider called AWS. Similarly, if I am provisioning some resources on Azure, there will be a provider for Azure. And the version of these providers are maintained by themselves and are not in sync with the Terraform version, which means if the Terraform version is on XXX, then it doesn't or it is not mandatory that the provider version will be also be XXX. It could be anything. So here in the required providers, we can specify the version of the provider that we want to be used. Now the next thing that we can configure is a backend. Now what backend is? Now whenever we are running Terraform in our local system, there is a state file which is generated which keeps track of all the resources. It is generated in the same folder in which our configuration files are. However, if we want to collaborate with some of our peers, then we need a share repository where we can store this Terraform state file, and that shared repository is called a Terraform backend. It could be an S3 bucket or something related, something similar to S3 in Azure or any other thing. But the concept is same. If we want to collaborate, we need a single place where we can store the Terraform state file, and that can be configured in this settings block. Now Terraform settings block is also known as Terraform block or settings block or Terraform configuration block. This block was introduced only in version 0.13 of Terraform, and prior to that there was no Terraform versions block. And one other thing that we should keep in mind is in the Terraform settings block we can only use constant values, which means we can't use variables or any other dynamic expression. Now let's look at a simple Terraform settings block code. Now, as you can see, this is a sample code for a Terraform settings block. Now here we are specifying the required version of Terraform, which means this code is compatible with all versions which are greater than 1.4, which means if we are running Terraform 1.3, then this code will not be getting executed. Now coming to the required providers block, here we are provisioning a random provider which generates some random string. It is provided by HashiCorp itself, and its version is 3.6.0. Now here we are specifying our backend, which is a S3 bucket. In the case of S3 bucket, we need to provide the bucket name, the path to Terraform state file, and the region of bucket. Apart from this, the credentials are also required, which could be passed as environment variable or can be set in a profile. The other two things which I have commented as of now are not necessary, but yeah, these are some added things that can be configured in Terraform settings block, which is a meta provider, which means whenever we are using some modules or other things, we can set some values which can be directly used in those modules. And the last thing that can be configured is experiment. So in Terraform, there are certain features which are experimental and not provided to all. So if we want to utilize these features, we need to specify those. So now suppose for example, if you want to use a experimental feature called example, then I can uncomment this line and then Terraform will be able to use that feature. Now let's move to VS Code and see this Terraform code in action. Now here we are in our VS Code editor. Now let's begin. We need to run a Terraform init command to initialize it. Now here I have specified any version which is greater than 1.4, and if I check my current Terraform version, it is 1.6.6. Now instead of 1 point this sign, if I use equal to 1.4 and then save this and again fire a Terraform init command, you can see it is showing as an error, which means that it can only run on version 1.4, and since my Terraform version is not 1.4, it will not run. Now let's change this version again to so that we can execute our code. If you see this file explorer, you can see there is no other file or folder till now. Now let's see what will happen with Terraform init command if we execute with uncommenting this required providers line. Let me fire the Terraform init command again. Now, as you can see, our command got successful because we are meeting this required version criteria and we specified this required providers. Now here what Terraform has did, Terraform has generated or downloaded this provider from Terraform registry and also generated a Terraform log.html file which where it maintains all the version related to Terraform providers, their SHA value, their version, etc. So yeah, now as of now we cannot test this S3 backend thing, but yeah, if I can uncomment this and I have my AWS cloud credentials configured, then we can definitely use that. So guys, this was all about Terraform settings block. If you liked my video, please share it and subscribe my channel. Thank you.